breached, then it is going to be a kind of a very pathetic situation for the bank also, as well as for the users, and it will deteriorate the faith of the that particular end users. Yeah, so this is going to be a kind of a motivation why the blockchain is going to be a kind of a revolutionary solution for that. So second feature is the processing of the how the government is going to take care to process the collective data. Let's say government has some kind of data. Now how the government is going to process that data, because data is going to be shared among multiple organizations sometime. Let's say the data is to be collected, government want to disseminate or want to transfer, let's say 5,000 rupees to each farmer, okay, with certain conditions. Now the government need to collect the data from each and every state, and then state is responsible for to send the data to the central government. Then after verification, the central government is going to uh, transfer the required amount to each and every state, and the state is going to credit the account to the respective farmer's account. Okay, so now because government is going to use this data related to the citizens or related to different services for their own different kind of programs or different kind of benefits that they want to give their citizens. So, but now if the government want to do it, then what is the problem in this particular processing of data? So the problem of data breach is increases at every level basically, when it comes to be the data duplication or when it comes to be the data multiplicity. What is the meaning of data duplication? Let's say I want to open my account, so I visited the Punjab National Bank, and manager say that Mr. Sudeep, you need to give your Aadhaar card, you need to give your driving license, or you need to give your PAN card. So I have just given the Xerox copy of all the required document. Then again, I want to make or I want to buy a particular cell phone or a particular connection, landline connection with the government of India, BSNL. Then they say that you need to give these documents again. So this will create a kind of a duplication of the document when it comes to the storage. So this is going to be a kind of a big hurdle for the government because this will open the chances or open the give a kind of a platform for the secure for the attackers to perform some kind of attack or data breaches will happen, because you have submitted your Aadhaar card or your PAN card just to opening the document, but someone has taken your both the document and use it for their own purpose, which is going to be a kind of a forgery. So if you are submitting copy of your Aadhaar card to some bank or some mobile companies, then you are actually making the duplication of the data. So my advice to all of you is you just put a entire cross on the document and write that with the red pen or a different color pen, or maybe from the sketch pen, that this document I am submitting only for getting the mobile card or only for getting the opening the account in a bank. So this is the way that you can, or we citizens simply do what we just copy it and Xerox it and then send it, just placing a signature. It is not a good habit. Basically, you need to specify the reason for for which reason you want to give this particular document to a particular agency. Okay. So the protection of data gets diluted if multiple copies of the same data exist. This is again going to be a big trouble for the government when it comes to the processing of the data. Next one is a sharing of the passport data. Let's say, for example, it is not just like that. This is a eye opener for you that basically you have the passport. Your passport data is available with how many agencies? With this particular slide, I want to give you that your confidential information is available with how many agencies. I have selected only few agencies. So other agencies also have your passport data. So other agencies also have passport data. If something wrong happened with your passport data, then who will be responsible? Very difficult to verify, very difficult to prove. Then this blockchain comes into the picture, that how, because this is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, RPO Regional Passport Office is directly linked with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Then where they are responsible for for creating your passport or for renewal of your passport, but at the same time, they are going to transfer the data to the different stakeholders, different agencies when it comes to the verification of your entire data, like your income tax department, National Audit Agency, National Intelligence Agency. All these are having your passport data, and they are going to perform the periodic check on your passport data, that how many times you left the country, how many times you in the country, and what is the cost of your ticket, okay? And then according to that, they can check your income tax, that what kind of ITR you are filing, whether it matches or there is a kind of a disparity. Okay. Now again, your airport authorities, your seaport or custom check, all are having the passport data. If you visit London and you visit the Heathrow airport, then they just scan your passport and entire information right from the beginning, right from your criminal record or right from your all kind of informations are available. So it is going to be a kind of a big trouble how to secure this particular data, and how to say we say that no one is going to use our sensitive data for their own purpose. Okay, national agent, army defense agency is also having. There is one wing in the army that we can call it as a National Army Defense Agency, who is going to investigate that, who is going to perform some kind of non. Basically, we can call it as a as a wrong activity, basically we can say, or terrorism, who is going to involve in the terrorism. Then your CBI, CID, national police agencies are also having the data, or public service identity database is also having, so Ministry of Public Service. So now see, I have selected only few. This list is very long. So your passport information is available with all of them. Now, whether they are using a kind of a centralized approach, they are using a kind of a decentralized approach. If there is some mishappening took place or with respect to your data, then who is going to be responsible? This is a very, very big problem. So think in this particular direction, that how you are going to frame out the use case considering this particular problem. So I'm going to float with all of you some realistic problem. Now the next one is so in this let's say how you are going to provide the solution. So in this way you need to have a kind of a service requester basically, and service requester is connected with the with all kind of services, all kind of agencies, with the service broker or through the service broker. So this service requester requests the service from the data collector basically through the some kind of service broker. So what is the role of service broker here? The role of service broker is which will help you to get the access to the relevant data. So for example, in Aadhaar card, the UADI is the responsible service broker. So like way, if we define what is going to be the service broker for a particular identified services, then we can say that this is going to be a kind of a realistic environment where the government information sharing platform, as far as the decentralized mechanisms are going to concern, is going to be a kind of a big trouble for the government. Now, how the blockchain, we will see next with that, how the blockchain can help in the process when it comes to be the data access and verification of a central data. That problem we have already discussed, that when it comes to be the access of the data and verification of the data that is there in the central repository. So because data is in the central database, access to the database are transactions, and every transactions basically the access to the data is locked into the blockchain. So instead of keeping the transactions separately, instead of keeping the log separately, you need to keep all your transactions and all your log in the blockchain, so that that's the way the data can be accessed only through the blockchain. There is no other way to access the data. If any of the service provider want to access the data, then that service provider can access the data only through the blockchain. If what is the logic behind it? Because if they want to access the data only through the blockchain, then anyone can validate that particular transactions, and the mining is started. And whether this particular accessibility of the transaction is the right of the corresponding requester or not, then every individual is going to verify it. So anyone can verify who has accessed the data and for what purpose they have accessed the data. So this will create a kind of a trust in your entire system. Next one is how this blockchain is going to help when it comes to be the sharing of the data. So sharing of data problem also we have discussed. So it means that instead of putting the access in the form of transaction in the blockchain, you need to put the data in the blockchain itself basically. Need not to have the separate transactions in the blockchain. You need to store the transaction inside the block. And because it's a kind of a double level security, block will have their own hash and each transaction will have its own hash. So data is in the blockchain. Everyone can verify which data has been shared. So that's the way the data cannot be altered. So the sharing of the data problem can be rectified when it comes to the adoption of the blockchain in the identified area of the government services. So sharing of the data and access control, because you are going to keep both the data and the access at the blockchain. So anyone can verify the data and the access, that who has accessed the data and what kind of data has already been accessed by the user, and neither the data nor the access can be altered in this scenario, and access cannot be denied 24/7. Access can be provided to each and every individual or valid user basically. So now we will see some of the global perspective of the government use cases, not only India. If we see across the globe also, the many government have already adopted the blockchain in their government services. So if we take an example of Russia, so Russian federal, basically the anti-monopoly services, which we can call it as a FAS, has already used the blockchain when it comes to implement the document transfer and the storage. They have implemented it with the blockchain. So if you want to refer it more, I advise all of you, please refer this particular URL where you will get the entire information about the this particular use case, that they how they have adopted it, and what are the hurdles that they have faced, and how they have divided this particular use case in their defined area. Second one is the South Korea. If you take an example of South Korea government, so in the South Korea government, there is a kind of a group that we can call it as a Daily Financial Group, which is a house of Korean creating the blockchain-based ecosystem that they can call it as a econ basically. So this econ will allow the government departments, all the government departments, universities, hospitals, banks, etc., to interact without the third-party network. So the best part of the Korea is like that in India, if we consider, we have the ATM card, we have the separate railway pass, monthly pass, we have the separate MST for the roadways buses, we have the separate identity card for the university, blah blah. The list is very